Angela had always been a romantic woman. For her, true love was found in small gestures, unwavering support, and, above all, sincerity. When she met Charles, an attractive, confident, and charming man, she believed she had finally found everything she had ever wanted. Despite doubts from friends and family, Angela trusted Charles's sincerity and, without hesitation, accepted his proposal. Yet, standing at the altar, she felt a slight coldness in him, something subtle but enough to plant a seed of uncertainty. What Angela didn't know was that Charles was just beginning a self-centered journey that would eventually lead him to a bitter lesson. Soft music echoed through the brightly lit hall as the lights twinkled like stars on a clear night. Angela, feeling a bit nervous, adjusted her navy blue dress that complemented her figure. She had always dreamed of a place like this, surrounded by elegant people, yet, at that moment, she felt out of place among the wealthy and sophisticated guests. Her heart pulsed with a mix of dreams and a lingering insecurity, an echo of so many disappointments she had experienced. She watched the couples dancing, their radiant smiles reflecting the happiness she so deeply desired. Behind her apparent confidence, there was the glow of a shy hope. Maybe that night would bring the change she'd been waiting for. Then she saw him. Charles entered the hall like the lead in a romantic film, attracting admiring glances. Tall, in a tailored suit that emphasized his athletic build, he smiled, lighting up the room. Angela was mesmerized. He approached her with confidence, his brown eyes shining as if she were the only woman in the room. "May I have this dance?" He extended his hand, and Angela hesitated for a moment, her heart racing. "Of course," she replied, her voice trembling slightly. As they danced, the world around them faded away. Charles spoke passionately about his work and travels, and Angela, enchanted, hung on every word. He made her laugh, and her laughter was like music to his ears. At the end of the dance, he held her hands and looked into her eyes. "Angela, there's something special about you. I can feel it," Charles said, his voice soft and captivating. His words sparked a glimmer of hope within her. It was what she had always wanted to hear, yet a doubt lingered. How could a man so perfect be interested in her? Part of Angela was hesitant to trust, but the way Charles gazed at her dissolved her doubts, if only for a fleeting moment. In the days that followed, Charles became a constant presence in Angela's life. He took her to elegant dinners and romantic outings, and with each encounter, he seemed more in love. The world of glamour and wealth he introduced her to was fascinating, and Angela allowed herself to be swept away. Her friends' comments about the relationship bothered her, but she ignored them, convinced she was finally living her fairy tale. When Charles proposed, Angela felt her life had finally found its purpose. "You are the woman I've always dreamed of. Let's build a future together," he promised, and she, with tears of happiness, accepted. However, deep down, a shadow of doubt began to form. The doubts weren't just about Charles, but about herself. Could a man like him really want her? Or was it all just an illusion? The wedding day arrived, and the soft morning light illuminated Angela's face as she prepared. She looked at herself in the mirror, admiring her reflection. The wedding dress was a dream come true, with delicate lace and a veil that draped softly over her shoulders. The anticipation pulsed in her heart. This was the day she had always wished for, the climax of her fairy tale romance. Yet, as the ceremony progressed, Angela's excitement was overshadowed by Charles's strange coldness. He seemed present but distant, his expression revealing a concern she couldn't understand. During the exchange of vows, Angela tried to ignore the unsettling feeling growing inside her. His gaze, which once filled her with love, now seemed distant, almost as if he were playing a role. The guests applauded when they were pronounced husband and wife, But Angela noticed Charles wasn't smiling the way she was. At the reception, while other couples danced and celebrated, he seemed engrossed in conversations with other guests, rarely approaching her. Angela felt alone amidst the festivities, a feeling that began to turn into a knot of worry in her stomach. As the days passed, this loneliness only grew. Charles continued to be distant, always busy with his business and commitments. The romantic outings dwindled, and their communication became superficial. Angela tried to keep the flame alive, planning special dinners and trying to rekindle the connection they once had. But each attempt felt like a drop in the ocean of Charles's indifference. Deep down, she began to realize that her marriage wasn't the fairy tale she had imagined. The words of love exchanged at the altar now felt empty, like a signature on a contract. Their conversations had turned dull and often purely practical. What once seemed like a dream life was transforming into a routine of disillusionment. Angela began to wonder if it was all just a convenience for Charles, who might have been more interested in the financial and social benefits of marriage than in true love. The truth started to emerge slowly in her mind, like a shadow she feared to face. Angela's growing discontent became unbearable. She began to ask herself questions about Charles's true character. Doubts consumed her as she watched her husband drift away emotionally. Each time he left for business commitments without explanations, her heart ached. The need to discover what was really happening grew stronger each day. On a rainy afternoon, determined to face her insecurities, Angela resolved to investigate. Gathering her courage, she began searching for clues about Charles's life. She checked his messages, emails, and social media. It was in a conversation between Charles and a friend that the truth started to surface. Charles mentioned a name Angela didn't recognize, Lisa. With her heart racing, Angela kept digging. As she scrolled through social media, she found photos of Charles and Lisa together, smiling in luxurious places, seemingly happy. The pain in her chest grew, but her curiosity pushed her forward. She couldn't believe she was being deceived by the man who had promised to be her partner. Finally, Angela found a message that confirmed her worst fears. Charles was in an affair with Lisa, a young and attractive woman. Her husband's words hit her like a blow. What she thought was love was merely a facade. He was using her as a convenience while his true passion enjoyed his wealth and status. Feeling betrayed and humiliated, Angela soon felt her pain turn into anger. How could he do this to her? This was not the life she had dreamed of. Her marriage had become a sham. In a moment of intense emotion, Angela decided she would no longer let Charles manipulate her. The discovery of his affair was not only a blow to her heart, but also a challenge that compelled her to rise above. Determined to face the truth, Angela confronted Charles that night. When he came home, the tension was thick. "I know about Lisa," she said, her voice steady. Charles's expression shifted from surprise to disdain, as if her revelation was nothing more than an inconvenience. From that moment on, Angela's life would never be the same. The truth was exposed, and she refused to be just a chapter in someone else's story. Angela sat in the living room, feeling the weight of the truth pressing down on her heart. Charles's words echoed in her mind, filled with empty promises and cold stares. Each moment with him now felt like a prison, anger mixed with sadness, but a spark of determination grew within her. She would not allow her life to be reduced to a game of convenience where she was merely a pawn. Reflecting on her situation, Angela decided she wouldn't settle for being a victim. She started a deeper investigation into Charles's and Lisa's lives. With the help of a close friend, who became her unwavering support, they discovered that Lisa was an ambitious woman who used her beauty to get what she wanted. She wasn't in love with Charles. Her interest was solely in the benefits he provided. As Angela dug deeper into Lisa's life, she noticed a pattern. Lisa was involved with men who could offer her financial security. She was a skillful player, and Charles was just another piece on her chessboard. With each piece of information Angela gathered, she felt more empowered. She realized that she wasn't the only one being manipulated. Charles was also caught in his own web of lies, unable to see that Lisa was using him too. This realization gave Angela a new perspective. She wasn't alone on the battlefield. Charles was also a pawn, and his life was about to change. With the pain of betrayal still fresh, Angela began to plan her escape from the situation. With every new detail she uncovered, her confidence grew. It wasn't just the betrayal that hurt, but the fact that she had allowed her self-worth to be eroded. The life she had built with Charles needed to be rebuilt, stronger and on her own terms. For that to happen, however, Angela would need to confront him on her own terms. The idea of divorce scared her, but at the same time, it excited her. She was determined to take control of her life and rediscover who she truly was. The truth about Charles and Lisa would set her free, and Angela finally felt that she had her destiny in her hands. With the divorce papers in hand and determination in her heart, Angela decided it was time to leave. As she packed up the house she had once dreamed of calling home, she felt a mixture of emotions. The relief of freeing herself from a marriage built on selfish interests outweighed the pain of separation. Each step toward the door was a step away from the life she had lived. That morning, as she packed her things, the reality of her new life became increasingly clear. Angela felt stronger than ever, resolved to rewrite her story. As she crossed the hallway, she heard Charles arriving. He had come home earlier than usual, and when he saw her packing, his face twisted with shock and anger. "What are you doing?" he asked, incredulous. "I'm leaving," Angela declared, holding her bag firmly. "I can't live this lie anymore." She was ready for anything, no longer willing to feel inferior, no longer allowing herself to be used. Charles tried to approach her, but Angela didn't flinch. "You betrayed me with Lisa and expect me to pretend nothing happened? I am not an object to be discarded when you grow bored. You married me out of convenience, and now it's time for me to find my own path." The desperation in Charles's eyes made her feel strong. He tried to argue, but his words were cut short as Angela walked to the door. With each step, she felt as if she was shedding a tremendous weight. A sense of freedom enveloped her, and the desire to reclaim her life pulsed within her. As she opened the door and prepared to leave, Charles, now in a panic, tried to stop her. "Angela, please don't do this. We can fix everything. We can be happy." She turned to him, calm and composed. "Happiness can't be built on lies, Charles. I deserve something real, and you can't give me that." Her voice conveyed her newfound self-worth. "I'm leaving, and you'll have to live with the consequences of your choices." With those words, Angela finally crossed the threshold, leaving the house behind. Every step she took down the street was a step toward the unknown, but also toward self-discovery. Breathing in the fresh air, Angela knew the future held more than she had ever experienced. She was walking into the unknown, but for the first time in a long time, she felt in control of her own story. Weeks passed since Angela left Charles. While she focused on rebuilding her life, Charles's world began to crumble. The absence of Angela turned the house, once a home, into a place filled with loneliness and regret. What he had thought was a secure marriage had been a trap, and now he felt the weight of his choices. The first big change happened when Lisa, his lover, noticed that Charles's financial situation was deteriorating. She had always been with him out of self-interest, but as the bills piled up and the quality of life declined, Lisa didn't hesitate to end the relationship. "You're not the man I first met," she said coldly. "Without the financial security you offer, I can't waste my time with you." With that, Charles lost not only Angela, but also the lover he had thought was his salvation. Financial hardships came swiftly. Charles had made risky investments, believing his wealth was endless. Now, he faced mounting debts and overdue bills. Collection letters began flooding his mailbox, each one a painful reminder of his personal and emotional bankruptcy. Meanwhile, Angela was undergoing a profound transformation. She moved into a new apartment, small but cozy, where she could finally be herself. Every corner of the space was filled with her own choices, reflecting her newfound freedom and confidence. Determined to start fresh, Angela enrolled in an interior design course, a dream she had postponed during her marriage. The classes were challenging but inspiring. Each project brought her closer to her goal of becoming a respected designer, and the interactions with her classmates reignited her passion for creativity. Through social media, Angela began sharing her progress and the transformations in her new home. To her surprise, the response was warm and encouraging. A community of followers started to form around her, admiring her courage and authenticity. Angela felt revitalized as she realized that her journey resonated with others who were also seeking change. As Charles found himself increasingly isolated, struggling to hold onto his life and status, Angela blossomed. She had found the strength that had always been within her and was determined to keep moving forward. One day, as she looked out the window of her new apartment, Angela experienced a peace she hadn't felt in a long time. It was the beginning of a new chapter, a time of self-discovery and renewal. Charles's life might have been falling apart, but Angela was ready to reap the rewards of her courage and resilience. She was finally on the right path, building a life that made her happy, free from the shadows of her past.